Representative Stansbury just revealed what the FBI has been hiding about Jeffrey Epstein for years. Over 1,600 references to the current president's sworn statements about minors recruited from Mar-a-Lago, in photos Trump doesn't want you to see. This isn't just another political hearing, it's the moment decades of silence finally shattered and the truth about America's most protected predator network came crashing down.
Now recognizes, we got a number here. Representative Stansbury. Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes. Go right ahead.
All right. Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, members of the committee. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to testify here in the Judiciary Committee. It's an honor to be here to discuss a case that is as serious as it is urgent, and that is the ongoing congressional inquiry into the Jeffrey Epstein case and the failures of the criminal justice system to hold powerful individuals accountable. I want to acknowledge that this committee has taken some significant steps to advance the discharge petition demanding that the administration release the files, and I want to bring some additional materials here today from the Oversight Committee on which I serve, because so many of the issues at play in this case are within the jurisdiction of the Judiciary Committee, including the miscarriage of justice that was conducted within the courts, the Department of Justice, law enforcement agencies that failed survivors for decades. So let me begin with this. This is not a partisan issue. Sexual violence is not a partisan issue. Justice for survivors is not a partisan issue. And the pursuit of truth, transparency, and accountability is not a partisan issue. It is essential to restoring trust in our institutions, especially when powerful individuals, whoever they are, have engaged in criminal misconduct and escaped scrutiny and prosecution. The Oversight Committee's work is focused on 3 central questions. What powerful individuals were engaged in criminal behavior? Why did the justice system repeatedly fail women and girls who were groomed, raped, trafficked, and abused? And were individuals with significant influence shielded from proper investigation and accountability? And how do we pursue justice today? Questions that are surely within the clear jurisdiction and interest of this committee. In recent weeks, pursuant to a subpoena, the Oversight Committee has received tens of thousands of documents from the Epstein estate, including more than 1,600 references to the current president. These include emails, correspondence, financial records, litigation documents, and statements attributed to Epstein himself. I want to be clear, these documents contain allegations including sworn statements that must be evaluated through a full, transparent, investigative lens and process. And this is precisely why releasing the full, unredacted Epstein files is essential, and why this public inquiry is also essential. Among the materials I will reference are a sexual assault case in which Donald Trump appears to have been subpoenaed, served, and deposed, sworn statements involving a then 16-year-old who was recruited at Mar-a-Lago, who alleged that she was groomed and assaulted by Epstein and others, including those with significant global influence, emails and correspondence in which Epstein states that Trump knew about the girls and that minors were being recruited from Mar-a-Lago, that Trump was present at Epstein's residence on numerous occasions, and that Epstein possessed photographs of Trump with young girls, and that Trump was, quote, the dog that hadn't barked, a phrase that Epstein used to suggest Trump's potential silence to police. The documents also reference financial transfers between Epstein and Trump, discussion of Trump's business affairs, and concerns about potential money laundering through real estate transactions, all matters that may or may not have criminal significance and clearly warrant investigation. Additionally, we have documents from the Epstein estate in which Epstein himself assessed that he faced a mandatory minimum of at least 10 years in prison, yet the Justice Department declined to prosecute him under federal law despite recommendations from his own line prosecutor. And these statements appear to directly conflict with sworn testimony that the Oversight Committee received from U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta just a few months ago, when he claimed that credible evidence to pursue federal charges was not there. Together, these materials are a substantial body of evidence, and it is evidence that the American people deserve and demand to see. Justice matters because those who abused, enabled, financed, and protected this criminal enterprise must face the truth and must face consequences. And transparency is essential for healing and restoring confidence in the rule of the law. And it is essential because Congress has a responsibility to ensure that our justice system protects victims, not perpetrators. And that includes strengthening victims' rights legislation that will likely move through this very committee. And so part of why I am here today is to advocate to please take the partisanship out of this case. Please address the facts as you see them before you. Please join us in this investigation, and please help us hold these people accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Appreciate you sharing today. Gentlelady from New York is recognized.
What Representative Stansbury delivered wasn't just testimony. It was a systematic demolition of decades of institutional protection around Jeffrey Epstein's criminal network. Her appearance before the Judiciary Committee represented the first time Congress has publicly detailed the scope of materials obtained from the Epstein estate, and the implications are staggering for both our justice system and current political leadership. The numbers alone tell a devastating story. Over 1,600 references to the current president in Epstein's files isn't coincidental. It's a pattern of association that demands explanation. When Stansbury referenced sworn statements about a 16-year-old recruited from Mar-a-Lago who alleged grooming and assault, she wasn't making political accusations. She was presenting evidence that suggests Trump's property served as a hunting ground for predators. The phrase, "the dog that hadn't barked," is particularly damning because it reveals Epstein's own assessment of Trump's cooperation with his criminal enterprise. In investigative terms, when someone fails to report known crimes, especially involving minors, it raises questions about complicity. Epstein apparently believed Trump's silence was an asset, not an accident. Beyond individual culpability, Stansbury exposed a systemic failure that cuts to the heart of equal justice under law. When she noted that Epstein himself assessed he faced a mandatory minimum of 10 years in prison, yet federal prosecutors declined to pursue charges, we see how power shields criminality. The disconnect between what Epstein expected and what actually happened reveals prosecutorial decision-making that prioritized protecting powerful networks over protecting victims. The financial documents Stansbury referenced, emails about money laundering through real estate transactions, connect this case to broader patterns of corruption that extend far beyond sexual crimes. When criminal enterprises use legitimate businesses to clean dirty money, they corrupt entire economic systems and create incentives for ongoing criminality. What makes this testimony historically significant is how it reframes accountability. Stansbury didn't just present evidence, she challenged Congress to choose between partisan protection and institutional integrity. Her call to take the partisanship out of this case was really a dare. Will elected officials protect survivors or protect perpetrators? The pattern Stansbury revealed extends beyond individual crimes to institutional capture. When she described how career prosecutors recommended federal charges that were inexplicably declined, she was documenting how justice gets manipulated at the highest levels. This wasn't prosecutorial discretion. It was prosecutorial interference designed to protect a network that reached into the halls of power. Consider the timeline. Epstein operated for decades with apparent impunity, his activities known to law enforcement, intelligence agencies, and political figures. Yet meaningful action only came after public pressure became impossible to ignore. This suggests a coordinated effort to shield not just Epstein, but everyone whose reputations and careers depended on his silence. The photographs Stansbury referenced, images of Trump with young girls, represent more than evidence of association. They're potential blackmail material that could explain policy decisions, business deals, and political alliances that otherwise make no sense. When compromising material exists on powerful figures, it creates shadow governance where policy serves private interests rather than public good. What's particularly disturbing is how this network operated in plain sight. Mar-a-Lago wasn't a hidden location. It was a social hub where the recruitment of minors apparently happened among America's political and business elite. This suggests a culture of normalized predation that extended far beyond Epstein himself. The oversight implications are enormous. If Congress acts on Stansbury's evidence with genuine transparency, it could restore public trust in institutions that have been weaponized to protect the powerful. If it doesn't, we'll have confirmed that some people remain above the law regardless of the evidence against them. The public is watching, survivors are waiting, and history will judge whether we chose justice or complicity. Democracy depends on the principle that evidence, not influence, determines justice. Stansbury's testimony was a test of whether that principle still applies when the evidence points toward the most powerful office in America.